Well, welcome back, duelists. We appreciate all of your patience, but we had a little bit of a power outage there. Someone activated system down. It put us in a standby phase, but we managed to red reboot it, and now we can Sky Striker mobilize engage. That one didn't quite work as well, but thank you very much to both Leo and Tom for helping me write this segment. We appreciate all of your patience. Thank you very much. Obviously, we are now going to go straight back into the exact moment where you guys left off in our top 4 feature duel. So I'm going to hand you over to the wonderful commentary trio, Basti, Tom and Leo, who are going to quickly update you on where we are with this duel. Guys, take it away.
Yes, there we are again, guys. It has been a bit of time. Ed has done some fantastic crowd work to keep the masses in this venue entertained, but we are just ready to get back into this game. We are fixing the timer right now, so we are not missing any minutes from this fantastic duel. Tom has built up a big board with the Arise Heart. He has taken away some resources with the Diabloses. We are in Dinh-Kha Bui's turn, and Dinh-Kha is not going to be able to activate a possible evenly match because of the crossout designator.
Yes, now we're updated again. I think the players have waited long enough. They sat there in the dark, but we are back here. We have been enlightened again, and so let's see whether Dinh-Kha Bui finds some enlightenment here in this turn to break this entire field of Tom Kleinegräber, or whether we're going to have another game, a game number 3 here in this semi-final. So we are getting back into this. Let's get going.
All right, so Dinh-Kha, of course. Now, you should take a second and refocus. Okay, he has planned something, so he's just going to immediately activate the flashing fire 1 second after they were told to play again. But I mean, I understand it because there was quite some time to think about your next moves.
I'm assuming like Dinh-Kha's got his entire turn mapped out here.
But this is pretty interesting because we decided to use that flashing fire after the destruction. So we could have gotten the destruction to the graveyard as well, but we decided not to do so.
I've got to keep in mind the dimension shifter that Tom activated.
Oh,
although it was a very long time ago.
True, that was one more thing that is still active. There is actually a dimension shifter. You're very right about that.
So definitely worth chaining here for Tom, because obviously the runic flashing fire is going to get banished, but if you use the effect of Arise Heart, then you get to banish the runic flashing fire face down and trigger the Diabolos effect once again.
Take even more resources out of the main deck.
There'll be tons of cards.
And we are going to see the Theosis, detached Theosis, being banished now, and it will trigger after that. So basically, you're having a bad trade on Dinh-Kha's side, but you're getting rid of the Arise Heart.
Yeah,
it's a good trade if you get rid of the Arise Heart.
But you get the Theosis add back. So
That's
you're
true,
investing one card, and basically there is still one card on Tom's side.
And so, what are we triggering? We're for sure, and certainly are going to trigger the Mind Hacker here, but also, of course, there was a Theosis being banished, and therefore we could add back something else.
Very important, go for Theosis on Chainlink too, because otherwise Gamma could be a deal breaker here.
Also very important, it's very easy to get very excited when you're triggering effects just to I'll add this for Theosis. And he just made sure to just tap the Diabolosis first and say, I'm going to use this effect, and then I'm going to resolve my Kashtira Theosis. Otherwise, you would miss the timing.
That is a lot of the main deck of Dinh-Kha Bui now being gone through the effect of the Mind Hacker. And by now, maybe a full engine out of his 3 engines is not available to him anymore.
Dinh-Kha, having a look, I don't know if you can like fully absorb all of that information.
I think he can. Honestly, this man, he can do it.
Just scans it now. He knows exactly what's left in his deck.
I was typing in Dinh-Kha Bui into our card highlight tool because I was getting confused for a second.
There's already a picture of him on the screen.
So what's next? Normal summon of Rex. And then we have a level 2 monster on the board, which makes us able to special summon out the blue from our hand.
So what's his plan? Like, this is another real test of Dinh-Kha's skill, because he's lost half of his deck, he's under Dimension Shifter. What can he achieve?
No battle phase.
No battle phase. He's got like 3 arms tied behind his back. I don't know what the third one came from, but...
The most difficult part is, of course, I cannot count Dinh-Kha Bui's deck right now, but if he does not get rid of this Diablosis next turn, it's going to take another card from the extra deck and then almost deck out Dinh-Kha Bui.
At that point, it feels like it would already be too much. There are so many cards being banished already. I don't even know whether you could actually activate the effect of the Diablosis to do a lot more there. Ooh, we're now going to special summon with freezing curses.
I think there are 14 cards banished.
If
Face
you did
down.
the quick math there, then sure, I will believe you.
So there were 8 after the first turn, right? And then, yeah, 8. One from the extra deck and 7 from the deck.
Yeah, then 9 through a Rysart, and then another 9 from the Diablosis. So it should be 18.
18, and then -1, I suppose, 17 from the deck.
Oh yeah, you're very unlikely to resolve another one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are specialing out the Hagen, but we're not going to use it, maybe indicating that there is no Runic Fountain anymore in the deck.
Oh, that would be huge.
Or he'd rather a card in his hand. I mean, what's Runic Fountain going to do? You've got no Runics anywhere near the graveyard, so he may prefer the card in his hand, even if he had a Runic Fountain.
Yeah, true.
He could just have a Runic Fountain in his hand.
That could also very well be the case, but I mean, honestly, we didn't even expect Dinh-Kha Bui to get to 4 monsters on his side of the field, so maybe he's just trying to link up into an access code talker or something here. I know he was playing that card, but he's actually not playing that card anymore right now, as I just see it.
I mean, Access Code Talker in a runic strategy seems kind of odd sometimes. I mean, of course, there will be moments where you can use it, but I mean, you are still under the runic battle phase restrictions, so...
Yeah, I mean, you could out the entire board, but it actually doesn't, because there are no cards in the graveyard to banish for the access code talker.
That is also true, and we are getting rid of the birth that could possibly banish more cards from the graveyard where there are none.
Nightmare Phoenix, a blast from the past. I so rarely see its effect activate when it's co-linked to draw a card. Also says co-linked monsters, or is it co-linked nightmare monsters? I think it's just co-linked monsters.
Monsters.
Okay, co-linked. So nice protection, even though he can't necessarily deal with the Diablosis this turn. He can put up some monsters that are at least slightly difficult for Tom to get around, although not that difficult as long as he has
Okay,
some
they
access
both
to
clarified
Kashtira.
how many banished cards there are for Dinh-Kha Bui and whether that effect of Diablosis could still resolve, and then it goes over to Tom Kleinegräber again.
If it could resolve, that would just be devastating.
Oh, yeah.
That would just leave Dinh-Kha on like very, very few cards.
Now Dinh-Kha will have to find something to play with. There is always the option to just attack and go into Zeus, get rid of the field, because this Donner would be threatening the Zeus immediately. But if you don't have Birth, then it's going to be a tough time for you to get out another play, basically, because you have nothing you can special summon from the hand.
Yeah.
He has at least the one Kashtira card. I can't remember what he added when he used it during Dinh-Kha's last turn, but he added a card.
scared
for
by
Theos.
Kashtira.
Oh, that is huge!
I mean, in that case, you have to banish from your hand, and he has to get rid of a Kashtira Fenrir from his hand, but that will, of course, play around the battle protection from Nightmare Phoenix, so we are outing that Phoenix, and we're going to run over the Donner as well in a second.
Very clever here. Again, if you weren't so familiar, you might just be like, yeah, Kashtira can attack over Phoenix, but Phoenix can't be destroyed by battle, but then Scareclaw negates its effect. Like,
Yes, it's a back and forth between those
it's a back
two.
and forth, but then at the end of the day, nothing really. He just attacked it as if it were a normal monster.
Oh, but look at that. Some people forget about that effect, but there is a second effect of the Mind Checker. When it destroys a monster by battle at the end of the battle phase, you can just banish one card from the opponent's graveyard face down, which is just what he did. And there comes the Zeus we were also anticipating.
And after we have seen the Nightmare Phoenix, we are summoning the Zeus, of course, in the extra monster zone, so it is protected from its brother, the Nightmare Cerberus.
Yes, indeed. So, Dinh-Kha Bui, one more time, being put on the spot here. Does he have an answer to this field as well? Because in the first turn, he worked through that board from Tom Kleinegräber quite well, even though he was under Dimension Shifter and under a Rysart. So, still very, very strong stuff there from Ka.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if he can do anything, and it looks like he just passed. So Tom only needing to
500 damage?
500 extra damage. I don't know if he can do 500 extra damage, because all of the Kashtira monsters require you to have an empty field.
Except for Rysart.
Except for a Rysart.
But there is the battle phase. Dinh-Kha Bui is going to get one more turn as it's going back to him with 500 life points left. And does he find the answer here to get back into this game number 2?
He couldn't even activate Vampire Retainer or Familiar, so this is a really tough spot for him. Now, it is all coming down to this. Are we going to see a game 3, or will Dinh-Kha find a miracle way to get back into this game?
So it looks like we are going to normal summon out the Donpa. Marksman for hire.
So time to special summon another for hire monster from his hand.
Yeah.
And then it will trigger its effect to destroy a card.
Ooh, we're specialing out the Rex, and now immediately the effect of Donpa is activating, trying to destroy the Zeus.
Oh, and Rex is the perfect card here, because if you chain the Zeus, Rex still has a graveyard effect.
If you surely you don't chain the Zeus here.
I mean, that
You'd
would
end up
leave
with
you
no
with
field, and your
no
opponent.
field at all.
I mean, your opponent would have no field, but I would rather keep my 3 cards probably.
Oh, yeah, okay. We are letting that resolve.
I mean, now you're
Oh,
giving...
Zeus is
Wait,
resolving.
he did actually activate the Zeus there. So there's nothing left on the board but Dinh-Kha Bui with 500 life points, and we draw into the Fenrir, making this a game for Tom Kleinegräber, equaling the score here in top 4.
Wow, that was really down to the last card that Tom was drawing. He couldn't give his opponent the chance to play with the for hire monsters, of course. You're targeting the Zeus, but the Zeus, it just has to happen here. And then he just needed this one monster as a top deck. Fenrir, attack, gain.
I feel like Kashtira so often are in this situation where you just think, no board, no cards, I just need one Kashtira monster, and then here we go.
He got it. He got that Fenrir from the top, being able to knock out the last life points by Dinh-Kha Bui. And so that will bring us a game number 3 here in our semi-finals. And what are we expected to see here? Something pretty interesting in the side deck of Dinh-Kha Bui is the possibility of adding up on Sprite cards. He's actually only playing 1 Sprite Jet in the main deck, but he plays 2 more in the side deck. And then also, you asked me that earlier, he's siding in Sprite Smashers as well. So
Yeah, not because he's playing Springans.
Probably not, though. So that is something, this is a really interesting looking side deck, because also we are siding into Wiz, the Sage for hire. So we are adding more and more engine with our side deck, because that's usually not the approach. Normally with your side deck, you're trying to find the non-engine card to beat different matchups, but he's just adding up on engine.
Yeah, very rarely people will side in like 1 card, so like the branded strategy will side in something that they can search, the gimmick puppet. But in this case, we're just siding in a full extra engine.
Also really irrelevant in this matchup, but really cool in others because Sprite was so popular. We're siding in Thunder King Ryo as well, because if you just end up in a mirror match or in a match versus Sprite, because this is clearly not a Sprite deck.
Not really.
If you're ending on a Mannequin Cat, you can actually capitalize off your opponent going for blue or gigantic or whatever and just special summon as Chainlink 2 with Mannequin Cat a Thunder King Ryo. So none of the effects can resolve.
Do you expect this card to come in here
Absolutely
in this matchup?
Not.
All right,
It would be really good on the field because your opponent can't search anymore, but there's no way of summoning it unless
There's
you normal summon it.
one more card which is specifically designed to be sided in going first versus the Kashtira matchup, and it is the Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. Such an old card, but such a powerful card in this matchup as well, and I definitely think this card is going to find its way into the main deck of Dinh-Kha Bui here.
I was just going to say, it's another old card that somehow Kashtira has dragged up into relevance. It's amazing what this deck has done.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of them.
I even saw somebody run Light Force Sword.
Oh, that was a thing. Yeah, I don't think any of the players still in competition are doing that, but it is definitely something you could consider for sure. So, what else would there be? I mean, for Tom, on the other hand, of course, we're trying to draw into that Dimension Shifter again.
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
that one proved to be really effective against both of those strategies.
Certainly is. Then that Harpy's Feather Duster looks good to me. I think that one Lightning Storm. And of course, it's all those one-offs because we're also playing Triple Tactics Thrust.
Don't forget about Ghost Spell. You can first of all deny the draw 3 of Runic Fountain because it requires shuffling back the spell cards, or not shuffling, but putting them under the deck.
Yeah.
And also you can negate the Rex effect and probably
Can
some
you
other
negate
effects.
Mayhem for hire, or is that only summoning from the deck?
I think it's only from the deck, as far as I remember.
Oh, that's Mayhem. Oh, no,
it's
I
summoning from the
misled you.
graveyard.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
not-
the
it's not
card's Rookie
Mayhem.
for hire.
Exactly, yeah.
I got the wrong name. My
It is
apologies.
Rookie.
Thank you.
But it does look like the players are
And
awaiting us. They want to play this game 3 here out in top 4. We want to find out who's going to be our first finalist of YCS London 2023 here. So let's get back into the playing action. Game number 3 coming up now.
Rookie for hire can't be belled. Your question has been answered, but I think that Ghost Spell is still a reasonable side in here, going second. Kashtira is so good going second, but against this for hire first turn field that Dinh-Kha is putting up, you need a little bit more help.
I feel like when you see the first turn that Dinh-Kha put up the first time, you're probably going to side in all of the hand traps you can think of.
Just try to stop him somehow. But we're starting off as we did in game 1 with Fossil Dig into the Rex.
So do we think after he saw the Gamma in Dinh-Kha's deck in the first game, that he might, if he has Dimension Shift, to try and wait until there's a monster in play?
Yes, I would absolutely think so. I don't think we're getting Gamma here again. And there's a monster on board now, for the moment, so that's helping. But there is the Dimension Shifter on side of Tom Kleinegräber. So he waited to not play into that Gamma, and that is huge here in game 3. Tom,
please.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought that was a really smart play. That's why I mentioned it before. I was like, this seems like a really clever thing to do. You really need to resolve your Dimension Shifter. So this is the best way of doing that when you've already seen a Gamma.
And I think sometimes people are playing around cards like Triple Tactic Talents, so they don't really want to use their shifter in the main phase. But Dinh-Kha Bui, he's playing 3 engines in his main deck, so the space for non-engine cards like Talent is really limited. So I think it definitely makes sense to take that trade and just do it in the main phase here.
But now there is still a really good option for Dinh-Kha Bui, something that Sprite players have been doing for a long time, going for the good old Mannequin Cat, special summoning out the shifter. I mean, we have had blue in hand as well, but this would be a way to special summon out blue from the deck by going Mannequin Cat, special summoning out the shifter. Of course, also giving your opponent 1 more card on the field, so that you can't special summon out the Kashtira.
Yeah, but which is good versus Kashtira, exactly. And I mean, that means you can then special summon out Jet instead, and now with the blue, you could just search for red or carrot. So that's actually really powerful of a play there. I can definitely see that coming down here.
Yeah, having that blue seems a really helpful extra thing under this shifter to be able to at least set up some interruption for your opponent.
Yeah, this is the engine that plays the best on the shifter, the Sprite engine, compared to the For Hire and the Runic engine. So it's definitely good that he has access to it here.
And there is the red.
No, I really like this because this is where we get to see our players really have to think on the fly, because Dinh-Kha's presumably been doing this For Hire combo all weekend.
Yes.
But now he has to think, what's the best thing I can do against my Kashtira opponent under a Dimension Shifter with the cards I've got?
And look, it is the Mannequin Cat coming down. And does Tom have an answer to that?
In defense position, so you can't crash into it with the Dimension no shifter. But the interesting part here is, will there be a Gamma from Tom's side? Because that one would be quite crucial.
Oh, you know what I think would be really funny is if he had another Dimension Shifter for next turn.
I mean, you can't activate it because there's already a card engraved.
Ah, but he's about to take the Dimension Shifter
but there
out
is
of the
a Gamma on the Mannequin Cat. So that was planned out perfectly by Dinh-Kha Bui, but it is answered with an also powerful Psy-Frame Gear Gamma by Tom Kleinegräber.
This is not gigantic, Sprite. You have the red, so you can negate the Gamma and destroy it, and Mannequin Cat will still resolve, but you cannot special summon something out from the deck, so no Jet here. There are drawbacks to Dinh-Kha Bui's play here, but there is still the shifter. It all comes down to Tom Kleinegräber's birth in hand or not, but there's also another card that I can see in the hand of Dinh-Kha Bui, and it is the Ancient Organism.
That's strong.
Wow.
2 cards being added to the back row.
We might see a really grindy game here with both players having the ideal opportunity to interrupt their opponents.
Oh, but that's a strong start right there from Tom Kleinegräber. He could dig for cards now, such as Harpious Feather Duster, and get rid of that back row there.
Rod of Prosperity is basically, sometimes it feels like search for any card in your entire deck, right? Because excavating 6 cards, the chances of hitting cards you want is incredibly high, especially if you haven't drawn them already.
So what are we finding? That doesn't look too powerful to me at all. I mean, there is the Rysart. You could normal summon the Rysart, which would enable you to go into Donner while playing versus For Hire, which would be quite funny.
I like Tom just double-checking Dimension Shifter has 6 stars.
Oh, it would be also good to go to Baron here.
Very hopeful, being like, oh yeah, no, maybe it's got 7. All this time, no one's tried to use it before, but I could figure it out in this semi-final feature match for the first time.
You know what card would be crazy here? Virtual World Shen Shen. One of Buzzy's favorites.
Look at that. There is the normal summon of the Rysart. And does Dinh-Kha Bui answer that in any way?
Tom does seem to have his own For Hire card to use, his own copy of Donner Dagger For Hire, so that will let him clear the Dimension Shifter.
I must say, For Hires are really dominant this tournament.
Yeah. Nobody saw that coming, right? So we are reading up on the Kashtira Rysart there.
So the special summon effect, I believe, of Rysart is the one that locks you into XYZ summon.
Absolutely. So very smart play there by Tom, just banishing the Unicorn.
It kind of sounds like there would be a birth in hand.
Yeah, and that would be so strong right here. That would be really, really, really powerful. The thing is, yeah, okay. That birth is really needed because you can't really afford to give Dinh-Kha Bui another turn. There's Donner effect on the Sprite Rat. That is resolving. Empty board again for the Kashtira player. Special summon Kashtira Fenrir. That is strong again, but there.
Organism, and the organism is shutting down everything that this Fenrir could do. Search something? No. Attack? No. You're just sitting there now with your Fenrir and it's not looking that scary anymore.
But is there the birth?
There's also birth, and that will enable us to do some exceed plays. And Grave of the Super Ancient Organism doesn't do anything to rank 7s.
Grave of the Super Ancient Organism, such an old card.
Yeah, it didn't even know about ranked monsters.
Imagine a Grave of the Super Ancient Organism thinking that monsters could not have a level.
Yeah. So, exactly what Tom is doing here. He is using his ability to XYZ summon into Kashtira Shangri-Ira right there.
Do we
In
think
attack position.
this is just to attack? To possibly summon a Zeus in main phase 2?
Yeah, I think it very well might be.
But it's super interesting that he decides to go for the Shangri-Ira with only 6 minutes left on the clock. He's not dealing any damage here to his opponent, but potentially...
This plays around. Flashing fire.
That was what I was going to suggest. One of the nice things about Shangri-Ira is it can't be destroyed.
That is actually super smart there by Tom, not gonna lie. On the other hand, if you go for Zeus, then that Zeus is going to lose out to the
But
flashing
you're
fire.
going to get rid of the most important card in the game right now, which
true.
is the Super Ancient
Fair
Organism.
enough.
Unfortunately, you're also going to lose your Kashtira Birth in the process, but we're waiting for something.
Yeah, and I mean, Tom is okay right now. He's not behind in life points.
Exactly.
He didn't need to get ahead there, so that's kind of nice. And there is the most powerful for hire monster there is. There is Beat, the Bladesman for hire, and it is being tributed for Rookie for hire.
This is where Dinh-Kha has a good advantage, I think, because Tom probably doesn't know where to interrupt his opponent.
Indeed, true.
I mean, the last time he used Zeus on 2 for higher monsters, he just won basically on the spot after a top deck. So there is a good chance that he might...
Wow, there's another Sprite Blue coming down. We got a level 2 monster. Now we have Sprite Blue on the field as well. This is strong stuff. After having 2 so more or less one-sided games in game 1 and game 2, this is really coming down to the wire, going back and forth.
And he will have to chain the Zeus here if Dinh-Kha Bui decided to side in the Sprite Smashers, because if he waits for it, then... Oh, wait. Oh, doesn't really
Then he can still side.
Yeah, you can chain... Yeah.
He goes
Chain
for
the
starter.
Zeus,
Chain the Zeus to... Did he get a starter?
Yes,
Yeah, he got a starter. Does he run 2 reds?
No, he
So
does
the
not.
first red is just sided out.
That would be interesting because it's quite threatening, and Tom has to decide whether he's willing to take that risk that Dinh-Kha has another red if he activates the Sprite starter.
But I mean, if Dinh-Kha gets Tom to activate the Zeus, he still has the graveyard effect of Rex Fright for hire and has the starter.
Exactly, so probably not so wise.
I think we may as well just link climb here. Look, there's Donner, and Donner would then again give us 2 for hire monsters from our graveyard, and there is, as I just said, the most powerful for hire there is in there. There is the good old Beat. Arguably, Beat and Rex are both pretty strong, but Beat is definitely something that surges from the deck.
I think if you're Tom now, you have to activate the Zeus, because if Dinh-Kha wanted to destroy the Zeus, he could destroy the Zeus. So why wouldn't you activate it now? You know, if Dinh-Kha cared about the Zeus, he would destroy it.
Yeah, certainly. So the Donner. Is he going to do something about the Donner or not?
I mean, Tom also has 1 face-down card. I don't know if we know which one it is. It must not be an impermanence, because it would have been set to the column of the Ancient Organism, right?
Oh, it is an impermanence. Never mind.
Very interesting. Okay.
There comes the impermanence onto the Donner. And does that stop Dinh-Kha Bui? Oh, there's Rax being activated as well, adding back the Beat, special summoning the Beat.
This is again where the kind of the fear of the unknown might come into play for Tom, because he's got this Zeus, he's got to know when to activate it, but it's very difficult to know when the best time to activate Zeus is when you don't know what your opponent's deck is capable of.
Oh, but it looks like he's strongly considering using it here, and that is indeed what's happening. The whole field is gone except that one Zeus in the extra monster zone. And does Din have something to follow this up?
He has a Sprite starter. Usually that is quite the perfect starter, but you're only going to be able to summon a carrot out. We have used blue, we have used Jet this turn. Okay, we can just summon out blue and not activate the effect, just to have it as a body. But we have the carrot hard drawn! This is going to be another extender, and Dinh-Kha actually has some plays here. Can he set up a field that beats the Zeus in defense position, or possibly a top deck of a Birth?
There is the Gigantic coming down, and also only a little bit over 2 minutes left, and that Sprite starter, of course, lost us 1,100 life points. So now Dinh-Kha Bui, being on the clock, he has to come up with something here, and it has to be quick. There's Rex coming out from the extra deck, so again, access to our for hire engine.
Interestingly, Dinh-Kha's not used the effect to summon from the graveyard of Donna for hire this turn, so
yeah,
he could go into that now because he has a for hire. Oh, he doesn't even need a for hire monster.
Oh, but that is all. He just passed it back over to Tom. We were so excited, but now the Zeus runs over the Gigantic.
And
we
Tom
just
has
put another
Zeus! The second Zeus is supposed to seal the deal here for Tom. He wants to reach the finals finally.
And there's
he
Birth
has
from the top as
Kashtira
well.
Birth. I cannot believe this. I think Dinh-Kha just drew for turn and passed, and now we have the Fenrir here. Tom
And
is in
that's
the
the
driver's seat, and
handshake.
that is the handshake. Tom Kleinegräber, for the first time in his life, reaches the final of a YCS.
What a game, what a match. Tom Kleinegräber overcomes the disadvantage of going second there in game 3, and he will be playing, as he just said, his first YCS final of his life. What a match, wow.
What a well-played game from both players there. Like
And
playing
also-
around with the Zeus against an unknown deck.
Also, in the end, the speed of play, right?
Yeah.
They were both exactly knowing what was going on, just passing it back and forth. And in the end, Tom Kleinegräber being the one that comes out on top.
This man has tried it so often. This man has topped countless YCSs and Euros and Nationals and YCSs again and Euros again. This man is just one match away from a win. Dinh-Kha Bui has put up quite the pyramid there with his opening 5.
I love players when they just make a little something to do while you're waiting for us casters to get our act together.
And also, it's not only to accomplished players, but it's also Dinh-Kha Bui being on Runic for hire, a deck that nobody even saw getting all the way here into top 4. So that is so strong.
He does have a history of bringing these, you know, rogue, unknown strategies all the way deep into the top cut of a YCS.
And you might be wondering, what does Fossil Dig do in a Sprite deck? And there you have your answer. Rex Sprite for hire indeed is a dinosaur, which you can search out with it.
Yeah, so when that's normal or special summoned, you can search one for hire spell or trap from your deck. And I think from looking at his list, he's only running the one.
Yeah, that should be Rookie
which is
for hire.
Rookie.
Did you realize that this is a little Fluffle crossover? Because this is also almost a Fright Fur card.
Yeah, sure. It is almost. So Dinh-Kha Bui grabbing a card from his deck, and I think the important part about his deck is that he needs to combine both of his engines to really be super powerful. So he needs to draw into his Runic cards while also having access to his for hire cards. So there is the activation of Rookie for hire, tributing the Rex, and that gets Magic Ash Blast with a choice break, but there is the Gamma answering that!
That is absolutely perfect scenario for Dinh-Kha.
We have said it earlier, if you resolve Gamma on your own turn and you just have the driver and the Gamma on the field, then it is going to be hard for your opponent to come back. But we have also seen Omega being summoned in this tournament already. Basti, can you enlighten us?
There is no Omega
You
in the
love
extra
this
deck of
Omega.
Dinh-Kha Bui. But, I mean, his
Linked
deck is a link
materials,
deck,
yeah,
so you
you're
can
more than
very
happy
easily
with
use
this.
that. And we also got that beat onto the field, but still, do we have access to our Runic engine? Because honestly, that is quite a crucial part of that deck.
So perhaps we'll see Donna, which is a card we've
yeah.
seen in a lot of other decks, but this is Donna in its home deck, if you like, and it's so much more powerful. So that will allow you to tribute it and summon 2 for hire monsters from your graveyard.
Which he's doing right there.
And they should trigger the effect of beat, which will allow him to search any for hire monster from his deck to his hand.
This is snowballing quickly. He's getting the advantage of the for hire, and there is the boss monster. That is the card that really enables you for some crazy drawing action or even pot of duality action somewhat.
Yeah.
Both a draw
Rafale, champion of for
and
hire.
a gate on your opponent's turn.
Yes.
Yeah, if you discard a for hire card, so you need quite a bit more resources, but that's what his first effect is. Therefore, summon Rafale, the champion for hire, and then just go to duality action.
Yeah, that is so crazy. When I read that card first, or rather when I played versus Dinh-Kha Bui and he explained me the card, I was like, you can just add whatever card? Is it not just a for hire card? And he's like, no, I can actually just grab whatever I like.
And then we are seeing a small engine that Dinh-Kha Bui is running as well. He just added Sprite Sprint. I think he is running the one-offs of the Sprite. He's running 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 carrot.
It is free blue, but all the others are only ones, yeah.
That makes sense. Blue is clearly the most powerful.
For sure it is. But still, I think usually you want to use Rafale to get into your runic engine because we still have not seen any runic cards there from Dinh-Kha Bui, and the runic cards are what are your main interruptions on the opponent's turn. And when you have runic fountain face up, but there is the runic tip indeed, so he has all of the engines of his deck combined now, and he will also be able to now, okay, we use it to special summon.
So you can see quite the big going second engine here. Evenly matched discarded, Gamma resolved on the first turn. There is nothing better than this. We are adding the fountain and there's 1 card left in hand, if I recall correctly, apart from the Sprite starter that could be used here.
Yeah, if it's another runic card, that would be perfect for Dinh-Kha here because he'd be able to add, draw 2 off of his fountain.
Yeah, but it's not even super necessary because there is the Rafale, which is going to be able to draw into more cards, or rather Folgo, which is going to be the result of this link summon, maybe even right here. And so you can even draw into cards on the opponent's turn. And indeed, it is Folgo Justice for hire. So you don't necessarily need the runic cards right on the spot because you might as well draw into them on the opponent's turn.
So Tom not being super familiar with this card, which is fair enough. I don't think we've seen it very much. It's going to allow Dinh-Kha, first of all, to special summon a for hire monster that is different from any of the attributes, or perhaps types, I think, types that were used to special summon Folgo. And it also can't be used as a link material.
Yeah. So we are special summoning out Donpa, the marksman for hire.
So Donpa, I think, will let you, when another for hire monster is special summoned, destroy a spell or trap from your opponent, which will in turn, hopefully, trigger the Folgo, which says if you control enough for hire monsters, I think by default you draw 1 card, and if you control multiple for hire monsters, I think it's 3, then you can draw 3 cards instead, which is
we're not
absolutely
even done
insane.
yet. Gigantic Sprite hitting the field.
We want to see the blue and we want to special summon out the Sprite carrot. This is also an engine that I love to play in the tier element strategy back then, going for gigantic Sprite at some point with some random level 2s and then just go for the full Sprite combo involving smashers as well. Does he run smashers or just the starter as the spell card?
I don't see smashers in here. No,
Fair
there's
enough.
no
A very
smashers.
full deck from Dinh-Kha, we can agree, right?
Yeah,
he's
that's
got
red.
a bunch of, for hire, a bunch of runic and a bunch of Sprite cards.
But it's so fitting that some of those for hire cards are actually level 2, right? There's Rex being level 2, Donpa is also level 2, so that just works perfectly well together with the Sprite cards.
So Tom's going to have to pay attention if he's not played against this for hire deck, how Dinh-Kha's going to destroy a card he controls, and you have to pay attention to the effect of that Rex in the graveyard, which can banish itself to special summon a for hire monster at any point during somebody's main phase.
Yep, that is something he definitely has to pay attention to, because those graveyard effects, especially when that Rex is somewhere in the middle of the graveyard, you could really easily forget about it, but that's something at this top level of competition probably is not going to happen to those players.
And we are also going to see Sprite, Red and Carrot on the field, so all of these Sprite cards that you want to have on your end field are just right there. Also, Rex is really good at not only summoning monsters, it also just adds back the spell cards that you're using in your combos.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
can
is
add
so
it from
strong.
your graveyard as well?
Yes.
That
You
is
special
so
summon
good.
it if it is a monster.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
I mean, this honestly right now looks like a Sprite end board, but just with the potential of drawing so many cards as well on your opponent's turn, so you have insane follow-up with that as well. That is just really, really, really good. And also, we saw so many evenly matched over the course of the weekend, and this board is evenly proved with that Sprite carrot right there.
So on Tom's side, what cards are we seeing in his deck that might potentially let him answer this field?
So evenly matched would have been one of those. Book of Eclipse in combination with that evenly matched could be something as well.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. But besides that, nothing really. I mean, maybe triple tactics thrust into triple tactics talents. That's always a way.
So interestingly, Dinh-Kha, most of the time if you used a book or something to target the carrot, you would just let that through. There's no point tributing a monster, but Dinh-Kha might want to remove a monster from his own field in order to give him space to summon a for-hire monster from his graveyard and then trigger the effect of Dompa.
You could also maybe chain the IP as a response to that.
But it
that
looks
was
like
pass.
Tom just passes, and I definitely think that is a smart play, because Dinh-Kha Bui is not going to have a battle phase here in this turn.
Yeah.
So why do you want to try? You can just try next turn with even more cards in your hand, especially, like one more card in your hand in that particular scenario, but Dinh-Kha Bui's field is full, so probably not going to see a lot more development here. And as I'm saying that, he's going for an Exceed Summon.
But that's a really interesting... It seems to have thrown Dinh-Kha a bit. I mean, not that he looks like it, but he did pause, at least with his hands. And not with his face. He looked a little bit confused, like, what else do I do? Like, this is my board. You were supposed to try and answer it.
And that is just nasty at this point. You can just go for the Mannequin Cat, the number 29, I think, and just special summon the Ash Blossom if you still had Sprite Red in your deck.
Yeah.
Does it also summon from the graveyard?
Well, it doesn't matter. I think maybe he doesn't care about summoning a monster from his deck. He cares about giving a monster to Tom, because the potential answers to Dinh-Kha's field are things like evenly matched, things like Lightning Storm, or just summoning a Kashtira, but none of those you can do if you have an annoying Ash Blossom stuck on your own field.
Sure.
And you actually can summon from the graveyard, so you detach the red and then you can special summon the red back when the Ash Blossom is on the field.
I think you're just double-checking that as well.
Yeah,
Very much looks like that, because he deliberately detached the red there.
That is about to happen. Tom was ready to give it over to his opponent, but no, Dinh-Kha Bui special summons it to the side of Tom, and he gets himself a Sprite Red as well.
And in fact, so Folgo can draw cards when you destroy one of your opponent's cards, but Tom didn't give any cards to destroy. But now Dinh-Kha says, all right, I'll give you one, and then I can destroy it.
There comes Rafale again, and we are destroying the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring with the Donpa, showing us that Donpa can not only destroy spell and trap cards, but also just any card on the field.
Yeah, a really dominant position for Dinh-Kha here. He's going to be able to draw 3 cards off Folgo here.
And that's going to give him a lot of Folgo up.
That is indeed the case. I actually like that one, Leo. I got to give that
Thank you.
to you. That was a really good pun.
And again, once you draw cards with Runics, you just draw even more. The drawing never stops.
So back over to Tom. So this turn, as there were no runic spell cards being activated in the last turn, he has to do something, because there will not be another turn of Dinh-Kha Bui not having a battle phase.
Exactly.
And this is just the point when you're playing against a really unknown deck like the for-hire strategy together with Runic. I mean, you know what the Runic cards do. This is why you're also afraid. You know what the Sprites card do. Oh, and we are seeing evenly matched. And I think this might as well just be the case. You might have two.
Evenly matched number 1, possibly?
Yeah, evenly matched number 1. This will
evenly
be
matched
by Carrot.
part 1.
So, I mean, Dinh-Kha Bui is considering what to do here, but obviously you're going to negate with Sprite Carrot, yeah.
And we are even tributing the IP Masquerena, and now we're going to see if the... we are destroying and drawing.
Let's draw
we're
3.
just checking.
But
Ash Blossom.
Ash Blossom on the Folgo.
This, I think you can consider red.
I would consider red, yeah, drawing 3, especially if you think, like, what use is red if your board's going to be destroyed?
Oh, wow, he did not use red, and he did not have another evenly, so that was actually the right decision for Dinh-Kha, just keeping the red negation.
There comes the race off, and Ka is once again considering whether to react to that.
This is what I was trying to say earlier, before something crazy happened again. This is the point when you're playing against rogue strategies. You don't know what's expecting you.
I agree.
That is the Dinh-Kha Bui bonus, because he always brings those rogue strategies into the tournament. Their opponents, his opponents never know what to do. I can only recommend you play locals in Berlin, because you will play versus this guy trying out his weird strategies. I can tell you from my personal experience.
I feel like the Kashtira monsters all get a lot weaker when you've already used your battle phase for evenly matched,
true.
because you can't, if your opponent's got an effect negation, normally you just sit on the effect negation until your opponent uses an effect. The Kashtira monster is very threatening, they can just attack over any effect negation that you have. But if you've already used your battle phase to evenly match now, all of these effect negations you simply have to force out using your Kashtira monsters, which you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah. So now Tom trying his best, trying to come up with something here, using the effect of Rice Art.
And it works.
Yeah, it does hit the field here. And Tom also wants to use the effect now. Of course, the card from the deck is being banished as cost, and it is going to be the Nightmare Unicorn, and Dinh-Kha Bui quickly picks up his deck and also banishes 3 cards face down.
That smells like Kashtira Birth to me in hand of Tom. Otherwise, I don't see a reason why you would banish the Kashtira Unicorn. And Birth is actually a really good card against Runic.
Yeah, but Dinh-Kha Bui really fought for a while when Tom activated the Race Off. So I would be thinking that Dinh-Kha Bui very likely has Runic Destruction.
Oh, he added it.
Oh, he even has... oh, yeah, then of course he has Runic Destruction.
I saw a flashing fire. Maybe I saw that wrong. Yeah.
I think I also think it was a flashing fire.
Honestly, could have been both.
They do look quite similar. He could have, I mean, he's drawn so many cards by now, he could have anything.
Ooh, look, there's the summon of the Dark Arm, but now we use the effect of Rex, and Donpa is going to be able to destroy the Dark Arm, and that means Dinh-Kha Bui is going to take game number 1 here.
Wow.
Absolutely phenomenal. This Runic first turn, this Runic for hire first turn was crazy. There were so many monsters, so many unique interactions that I haven't seen before in my life.
Yeah, Dinh-Kha Bui finishing 2nd place in YCS Utrecht, but he's back for revenge. Here in top 4, already being up 1 game in this. He wants to get back into the finals and this time be a champion again for the 2nd time in his career.
That was just such a great display. We got to see the full combo on. And I guess, what was his opponent supposed to do?
I mean, he tried with an Ash Blossom, but that was met with a pretty good answer there.
I really like the idea of skipping your turn, because if your opponent doesn't have a battle phase. And maybe he didn't see what the punish was. And I mean, for us, like, we didn't see what was going on. We thought, wow, that's really cool. But then Dinh-Kha just showing off again. You know, I can put a monster on your field, and then I can trigger my Folgo to draw 3 cards. And yeah, you know, you drew 1, I drew 3 extra. Come at me, you know?
Just another display of power. I was thinking he was using the Mannequin Cat to summon the Ash Blossom to the opposing field to let it stick there, but no, he had a different idea. He just wanted to draw 3 cards.
That also worked out pretty well. And I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good approach by Tom, because Tom obviously knows how to pilot against Runic strategies, because Runic strategies in general are really popular at this event, but that specific version, that Runic for hire version, obviously is not so well known, and therefore he knows how to work against the Runic engine, but the for hire engine not so much.
I mean, it wasn't a for hire card, it was a Mannequin Cat, which I think some players are playing, some others are not. And that was a really creative use of it. I really like the idea of, you know, just giving your opponent a card so you can destroy one of them. It's like, yeah, that's not really... Yeah,
for sure.
Amazing.
But like the sequence of him just passing the turn versus a Runic deck just seems very, very good. I really like that.
To be honest, with those engines, I wouldn't even have expected for Dinh-Kha Bui to fit another Mannequin Cat in there. Like, this is the least card I would have expected. But I mean, it just makes sense if you need something to destroy, that you use the Mannequin Cat to special summon something to the opposing side. I mean, I think this scenario has come up more often this tournament than you would think.
Yeah,
and I think
I would agree.
The general utility of giving your opponent a monster, funnily enough, is just good. Just
Really
to give your
good right
opponent.
now, yeah.
Imagine a format where it's just, I'll give you a monster. Deal with it.
Oh no, really?
I mean, there are some nasty monsters in the format, like Ibli, the Corruptor, or
We don't want that.
Brass Disciple, or Dark Angel that we have
just
seen.
an Ash.
The Gimmick Puppet as well,
that
for
is true.
sure.
Oh yeah, Gimmick Puppet. You're absolutely right. But we have seen that the players are ready for game 2. I think that Tom might be starting, but let's see. Let's go over to the table.
Honestly, I watched a little bit of Tom's game. I think it was in top 64 when he was sitting there in Top Cut, and he was going second in a couple of matchups. For example, in the mirror match, but I think letting Dinh-Kha Bui start here with his Runic for hire deck is not really the greatest option.
very brave to let your opponent start when you don't really know what their strategy is.
Indeed. So he did decide to go first here, starting it off with the card that would enable your entire combo immediately with the Kashtira Unicorn.
I mean, we have figured out over the weekend that Kashtira, after siding even, is incredible at going second. However, yeah.
Those dimension shifters, I think.
Oh yeah, dimension shifter would also be absolutely massive against this deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I'm noticing in Tom's deck that I think is really cool is running the cross-out designator. So he's running a variety of popular hand traps or interruption effects.
And we're chaining the dimension shifters, so that is quite a good start for Tom Kleinegräber, as those runic cards in the next turn are not going to hit the graveyard.
Or the for hire cards. I think you want the for hire cards into the graveyard as well.
Rex.
Because Donna,
both of it.
Rex,
So
all
this
of
hits
that.
2 of the engines massively. Still the sprite cards left though.
Only thing that is sad, but I mean, you can, it's fine, is that the Theosis gets banished immediately without a target in the banish pile, so you can't use it from the graveyard to summon out Scareclaw Kashtira. But I mean, at this point, if you have Shift Directive, fine.
Honestly, I think I like it even more in the banished pile, because you are going to end on a Rysart. So a Rysart can just easily attach the card from the banished pile, and therefore you could then use the Kashtira Theosis again. So it will be more likely to actually use the on-field effect of a Rysart compared to just that Scareclaw Kashtira somehow.
Fair.
What we're saying, Kashtira, they can banish it from anywhere.
Yeah,
you can
indeed.
even banish it from the banished zone.
I don't know how that would work, but sure if you like.
Well, you banish it by attaching it and then banishing it again. Bring it back for a little bit.
Tom, it's your reality, it's your world, and we're just all living in it. So, and we're playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh!
We are playing that checks out.
That makes this reality so beautiful. So we are searching for Rysart here via the effect of Kashtira Fenrir.
So do we think Tom's going to play these sort of... we've seen players go for the more conservative, just play 3 monsters, make a Rysart, and then pass. Specifically to play under Nibiru.
Yeah.
Do we think we're going to see that now?
I think
Tough
it's a double-edged sword versus any Runic deck, because Runic has so many cards that can out that one Rysart, because Runic Freezing Curses, Runic Flashing Fire, really both of them are really strong against that. So we see that Tom decides to not do that
Tom
and
answers
rather
for us, exactly.
goes for Shangri-Ira.
We can now banish the Big Bang from the deck with Rysart to spend it. We can also go for the Ogre. Hopefully Tom has a Birth to follow this up. I mean, it is kind of a tell, the Ogre.
Maybe he just decided, I don't want this card in my deck. Go away.
Nah, I'm pretty sure we're going to go for the Ogre as well, because now at this point we already have committed into the Nibiru, so we might as well just get another card that is helping us with the Kashtira Ogre, and getting the Kashtira Birth onto our field will also be really, really strong, because as we know, Kashtira Birth, a powerhouse of a spell card versus the spell card deck, the Runic deck.
Good old Kashtira Geburt on the field here, the German name, but for the moment Dimension Shifter is active, so this is going to be relevant in 2 turns.
Yeah, but still, I mean, those games can take quite a while against Runic strategies. And
As
now we are searching for the Kashtira Big Bang instead.
So, as I was suggesting earlier, the cross-out designator, I think, is an indicator that Tom wants to play very aggressively and flood his board with Kashtira monsters, because cross-out designator is pretty much the only way I can think of that Kashtira can play around a Nibiru.
Yeah, true. So I think his deck in general is pretty well designed to play the mirror match, to be honest, because of course Crossout Designator by design is a good card in the mirror match, because you will be able to also negate like Theosis, Unicorn, and all that kind of stuff, like the engine cards as well, because both of you are playing them.
And it's almost like a negate anything, because you can include in your deck all of these common tech cards people are playing, Book of Moon, Infinite Impermanence, and so on, and you can negate any of those.
Certainly, yes. So Tom takes a little bit of time here, decides to go... Ooh, do we go for Mind Hacker here?
I think that looks like where this is going, or another Shangri-Ira.
Yep, it is indeed Diabolus's The Mind Hacker.
And I really like that because, okay, I'm not going to do the Folgo up joke again, but I think you can actually, first of all, get a grip on the extra deck of Dinh-Kha Bui. You really want to know what else he's playing, because that Mannequin Cat was a surprise for sure. You have no idea about the cards that are going to be summoned later on, maybe. Okay, we're now taking away the zone blocker as well, but I think that Diabolus is going to do a good job here at giving Tom necessary information.
Yeah, I think it's really useful. I mean, he did see an awful lot of it in the last game, because Dinh-Kha basically summoned it all, but yeah, what do you... Well, I suppose we might not even get to see what's banished if Tom does the banishing face down for it.
Good point.
But
please.
yeah, but still, absolutely, I think a pretty good thing to just still look at the extra deck here, maybe learn a little bit, maybe read up on all the cards that are in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a little bit of time. I really like that, what you brought up there, Leo, because this matchup certainly is not super familiar to him.
Probably not at all.
Look,
Quick
we
reading
can see
session.
it. There is the gigantic sprite, and when there's only one gigantic sprite in the extra deck, that looks like a pretty good hit there immediately.
And the deck of Dinh-Kha, because he's running so many different engines, it might be quite tight and increases the possibility that if you banish, how many cards does he banish now? 5 from Dinh-Kha's deck? It might start to become quite annoying if you hit any of the important cards. We can see maybe 1 beat, 1 Domper in the main deck. So
Or maybe even 2 Runic Fountains. That would
that
also
would
be
be
quite
insane,
crucial.
yeah.
Yeah.
Runic Fountain would be a hard hit. However, you would have to hit 2 of those. I mean, manageable.
Yeah.
You can do that.
For sure, for sure. There are only 40 cards in his deck, and you already took 8 of them out right there.
well, 1 was from the extra deck. But that,
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, so it's 7.
Yeah, your counting was a lot better than I said 5. So I don't know why I said 5. I was like, some of them are from the extra deck, but no, only 1 is from the extra deck.
So we are also setting the Kashtira Big Bang, and that is usually not what we're going to do with that, because usually this is part of the big combo. We're going to banish it to special summon one of the materials of Kashtira Shangri-Ira back to the field. But honestly, the on-field effect versus this particular deck seems quite good, because we saw that Dinh-Kha Bui is floating the field with multiple monsters, and all those for hire monsters are adding up to each other. They are summoning right next to each other, and then just a Kashtira Big Birth timed very well at some point might just end the entire turn.
So we're adding Rex for hire, Fright for hire to the hand. And also I've just realized that this is the second time, if Dinh-Kha Bui wins, that he enters a YCS final with a runic strategy.
Indeed, yeah. In Utrecht he also played Runic Sprite, but now he just found those nice little for hire cards as well, which is a pretty good addition to the deck.
This Arise Heart is getting very large.
Ooh, there comes Runic Destruction. Just going after one of those cards in the back row of Tom there.
Interesting. If he hits Big Bang, it will trigger in the banish. No, Crossout Designator is activated.
Interesting. What card would you go for here?
Entertainingly enough, and maybe he's kept the evenly matched specifically for Crossout Designator. I don't think Dinh-Kha would activate a Runic Destruction in his main phase 1 if he had
Unlikely.
evenly matched, but evenly matched isn't going to be much use in your deck, so maybe you just banish it anyway.
I think, do we have access to all of our Kashtira monsters yet? Because we could just banish a Kashtira monster that we then... Oh, but we do go for the evenly matched, just in case. Just in case, but I still like it, because you don't want to top deck into your own evenly matched next turn, so it's actually a good thing.
So are we banishing anything useful? Another Crossout Designator, Ash Blossom and Greatsoth. That is not too bad. There is nothing that you are missing now, however, it also doesn't give you some resources.
Yeah, true.
One Kashtira monster would have been nice, let's be honest.
So yeah, a lot of them are already under the Arise Heart, so you're not too sad. But I agree, it is one of the real big downsides of the Runic cards.
Now Tom rearranging the materials of the Arise